banyacyubahiro mwese muri hano, abayobozi b'igihugu cyacu mu nzego zitandukanye, United Nations Resident Coordinator and Development Partners, members of Diplomatic Corps, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Reka mbanze mvuge mu rurimi rundi bamwe muri mwe mutumva, hanyuma ndaza no kuvuga mu rwo mwumva rwo Kinyarwanda. First of all, it gives me pleasure to launch two related tools of our development strategy. The first one is Phase 2 of Rwanda's economic development and poverty reduction strategy, EDPRS2, which builds on the success of the first one. The second is the signing of the performance contracts, Imihigo, with various government organs. Let me first talk about EDPRS. It was possible to meet the targets we set for the first phase because of the combined effort of Rwandans, the government of Rwanda, and the contribution of the partners in our development process. This effort resulted in the reduction of the number of people living in poverty by double-digit percentage points over a 5-year period. And the fall of the number of those in extreme poverty from 37% to 24% in the same period, while sustaining average GDP growth of 8% annually. I would like to congratulate everyone on this achievement and on their untiring effort to improve the lives of Rwandans. Despite this progress, we are still a long way from reaching our goal. That is attaining middle income status in the medium term and eradicating poverty in the long term. You are aware in the past there was always a term used, you just call it reducing poverty. As if the aim is to remain with some poverty. But I think ultimately if the commitment is about eradicating poverty, I think that's the way to go. EDPRS 1 revealed inadequacies in our system that must be corrected and helped identify new targets that have to be met in order to sustain our present development trajectory. In the next phase of EDPRS, Therefore, the urgency to work even harder and accelerate progress is as great as it has ever been. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, EDPRS1 has given us confidence that we can achieve the goals we set as a nation, and the potential for doing more is there. In EDPRS2, we are aiming at a double-digit growth of 11.5% and bringing down poverty by at least 15%, that is from 45% to fewer than 30, to less than 30% over the next 5 years. Achieving this means putting more emphasis on self-reliance, and achieving this will in turn mean increasing productivity at every level. Productivity. Individual Rwandans and the private sector also taking full ownership of the strategy and working in a more coordinated manner. The impact of EDPRS must be felt by all Rwandans. Every franc invested by the public treasury, every dollar, and the private sector should earn more in terms of impact on people's livelihoods. Its implementation, therefore, should be borne by every Rwandan. In particular, the private sector should play a more active role. The job of translating EDPRS into socio-economic transformation cannot be left to government alone. This is going to be possible because the fundamental elements for greater private sector participation are in place. More opportunities are emerging in agriculture, in trade, manufacturing, mining, and services, following the reforms that have been made, the economic progress that has been registered, and rising incomes. These opportunities should be seized, and I encourage the private sector to set equally ambitious targets, increase production and quality, expand their markets, and continuously upskill the labor force, and keep increasing competitiveness. This will translate into higher profits while simultaneously generating jobs. As we are all aware, the process of development inevitably creates new pressures and risks that must be overcome in order to move to the next level. In our present circumstances, some of these include rapid urbanization, funding constraints, and growing demand for jobs, especially for the youth. EDPRS2 provides solutions to address these and other challenges. All this means that our economy is transformed quickly and the benefits reach all. When we talk about socio-economic transformation, what is often understood is what happens at the national level. In this case, in our case, however, we mean that it has to be relating to what takes place at the community, family, and individual levels. These strategies that we have adopted will have meaning if they have impact at those levels. Equally, as a people, we have to keep improving our attitudes towards work, particularly in the implementation of various programs. In this regard, we have to reduce the time it takes from the conception of an idea to its implementation and reduce the transition time from one action to the next. This means it will happen when Rwandans start looking ahead and asking ourselves, what next? What next? Even as they are in the process of implementing one action. I want to say here that we cannot afford to be shy about being bold. In all we have to do, so long as it is right for us. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, fellow Rwandans, I must, in the same vein, I always want to throw in some caution that the satisfactory performance under EDPRS and the good strategies we are laying out today alone are not sufficient to move this country forward. We have to improve how we work, and together, not only at the government level, but also in our businesses and in our communities. Above all, we must be prepared to double our efforts toward productivity and to take main responsibility for our own development. Now, between this and the next point I want to talk about, let me say again, wanting to throw in caution so that we really maximize the benefits of our efforts. I have expressed to the Prime Minister, and I did to the Cabinet yesterday and before that, you know, the very impressive performance which we have registered, which is real, which certainly people have done a good job, and we should congratulate ourselves. But as we may congratulate ourselves wrongly and give ourselves mixed messages or wrong messages. When the scores here, as I was hearing marks almost 100% by everybody on everything, I have my own reservations about it. I think we have to be happy about what we are doing and how we are doing it, but we also have to be realistic, and being modest doesn't hurt. And I don't know why it was repeated here even after my caution yesterday, but I want to tell you, mayors and others, that if really everything we are doing is towards 100%, on the other hand, we wouldn't be having some of the problems we have every day in terms of implementation. So, and we had agreed, I don't know whether it was left to me to be the one to say it, that actually the process of evaluation is going to be reviewed, and in a very scientific way that really corresponds exactly or reconciles the efforts and the efforts and results and outcomes. So I think, Mr. Prime Minister, you may want to listen to this carefully with the mayors and the governors as we move forward into this. I think we need to, this whole issue of asking people to give themselves marks and choose where to give themselves marks is not quite where we want to be, right? So I hope we will improve on that. And this does not in any case take away the good efforts and good progress we have been making. We just want to do more. Let me now say something to the wider Rwandan public about another function we have just concluded, Imihigo, which in fact is one of the tools that we are going to use in the EDPRS2. Dekano noho nchire mu rurimi benshi muri mu bwumve. Agira ngo ngire icyo mvuga kuri imihigo dushoje. Dutangiza gahunda ya kabiri mbaturabukungu no kurwanya ubukene no gushyira umukono ku mihigo, ubwo nibyo mvuga. Iyo gahunda irimo kurwanya ubwo bukene, ni gahunda abanyarwanda bose bagomba kugiramo uruhare. Ntabwo ari uruhare gusa, bagomba kugiramo n'inyungu. Kandi byaragaragaye ko dukoze cyane, dukoze neza, tugakorera hamwe, dufite icyerekezo, dushobora gutera imbere vuba ndetse tugasezera ku bukene. Birashoboka, ibyo tumaze kubibona. Mu cyiciro cya mbere byavuzwe ukuntu twashoboye gukura abanyarwanda barenga miliyoni imwe mu bukene mu myaka 5. Urwo twahera kuri urwo rugero ndetse tukarushaho. Ndetse n'ubukungu bwacu bwakomeje cyangwa bukomeza kwiyongera ku gipimo cy'8% buri mwaka. Intego nayo yavuzwe ya 11.5% muri iyi myaka tugiyemo 5 iri imbere. Ibyo kandi bikaba byaduha kugabanura ubukene ku gipimo cya 15%. Kandi nagira ngo nibutse ko iyi mihigo dushyizeho umukono ari uburyo bw'imikorere twebwe abanyarwanda twahisemo kandi twishyiriyeho bivuye mu muco wacu. Dukwiye rero gukomeza kubyubakiraho kuko ni ibyacu kandi inyungu ziba muri twe zireba. Iyi mikorere ituma twese dushyira imbaraga n'ubushobozi bwacu hamwe, tugakorera ku ntego, tugakora ibyo twiyemeje. Akenshi twihangiye ubwacu dushingiye kuri gahunda yo gukemura ibibazo igihugu kiba gifite. Abikorera n'abandi baturage bunganira leta, ibikorwa kenshi biba bitari mu ngengo y'imari. Niyo mpamvu ubufatanye burushaho kuba bwatugirira akamaro kuri ibyo nari maze kuvuga. Ibi bituma umusaruro uva mu mihigo wikuba inshuro nyinshi iyo twafatanyije izo nzego zose, bikikuba inshuro nyinshi kurenga ku byajyaga kuva mu ngengo y'imari gusa ubwayo. Urugero, ingero nyinshi murazizi. Rumwe ni urugero rw'ibyumba by'amashuri y'abana agera ku 1,120 byubatswe muri ubwo buryo bw'ubufatanye. Ugereranije na 603 byubatswe mu ngengo y'imari ya leta, urumva hafi inshuro ebyiri. Aha rero ndagira ngo nshimire abaturage bose babigizemo uruhare, kandi nshimira n'inzego bafatanije zindi. Twanakwishimira kandi ko mu mihigo y'uyu mwaka uruhare rw'Abanyarwanda b'ingeri zose ruzaba rungana na 39%. Ndavuga kwishimira na 39% y'ibikorwa by'imihigo byose. Nk'uko byagaragaye muri raporo y'imihigo y'umwaka ushize bamaze kutumurikira, nta washidikanya ko imihigo imaze kuduha umusaruro mwiza, kandi ko iyo mihigo izakomeza kutugeza ku bindi byinshi byiza. Icyangombwa, iyo mihigo ni ukuyitegura neza, kandi abaturage bose bagakomeza kubigiramo uruhare, cyane cyane kwita ku bikorwa by'ingenzi bibagirira akamaro kanini mu buzima no mu mibereho byabo. Imikorere ikanozwa, maze igipimo cy'ibyo tuyivanamo, icyo gipimo kigakomeza kwiyongera. Ibyo ari byo byose ntitugomba kwirara, ibyo nabivuze, ahubwo tugomba kurushaho gukomeza gutera intambwe tugana imbere. Ndagira ngo rero ndangize nshimira uturere n'abayobozi b'uturere bakomeje kwesa imihigo mu rwego navuga urwego rushimishije. Ndashimira nanone uturere twashoboye kuzamuka, tukaba twaragize umwanya mwiza uyu mwaka, usibye ko hari uturere tugaragara ko dukomeza kugira umwanya mwiza. Ibyo twabibashimira. Ndashishikariza kandi n'utundi turere gukomeza kongera imbaraga, n'abakora neza ntibasubire inyuma, ahubwo bikomeze be byiza. Bityo nta gushidikanya ko ibyaduhurije hano uyu munsi ari byo bikubiyemo ubuzima n'imibereho by'iki gihugu, n'intambwe y'amajyambere twifuza, n'ineza twifuriza Abanyarwanda bose, ko ibyo ngibyo tuzakomeza intambwe nziza yo kubigeraho. Ndagira ngo rero mbashimire mwese, kandi muhorane uwo murava, mugire umunsi mwiza.